Sienna God, hello all. Good afternoon, Wado. Thank you for watching. This is day 2, part B of reading Hollywood Babylon by Kenneth Angers. When the scented page fluttered to the floor, oh, man, they interrupted it with pictures. So I guess that's what it looks like. I don't know if somebody depicted that, like, I don't know. We'll find out, hopefully. Anyway, fluttered to the floor, it was seen not to have been pinned by Mabel Normand. The pale pink stationery was monogrammed MMM, so 3 M's, and eyebrows were immediately raised. Mary Miles Minter was Paramount's answer to Mary Pickford, curls and all, an embodiment of demure innocence. Yet here in her handwriting was a mashed note which ran, "Dearest, I love you, I love you, I love you." And there's like a whole bunch of X's. Yours always, Mary. Oh, and the title of that depiction on the other page where the guy was looking like he was getting shot, and then there's an X on the floor. So X marks the spot. That's where they found him, apparently. Anyway, here is the note from Mary Miles Minter, excuse me. When questioned, Mary confirmed her ardor, A-R-D-O-R, in quotes. "I did love William Desmond Taylor. I loved him deeply and tenderly, with all the admiration a young girl gives to a man with the poise and position of Mr. Taylor," end quote. In parentheses, it says MMM was 22, Taylor 50. Whoa. At the garish, crowded funeral, a distraught Mary Miles Minter approached the bier, B-I-E-R, and kissed Taylor's corpse full on the lips. She then caused a considerable stir by rising to announce that the corpse had spoken. What? End quote. "He whispered something to me. It sounded like I shall love you always, Mary." End quote. Whoa. The circumstances of the Taylor murder were so bizarre that they have been incorporated into several mystery novels and movie scenarios, and all the real-life cast were quote-unquote characters, even Taylor's soprano manservant, Peavy, who liked to crochet doilies and scarves. Then there was Taylor's butler, Sands. He was missing. It turned out he was the director's younger brother, a dubious figure with a larcenous past, on the lam from the law. Taylor had coached him to acquire an impeccably servile, S-E-R-V-I-L-E, demeanor, his disguise further enhanced by bleached hair. Sands, suspected for passing forged checks and possible involvement in his brother's death, had vanished, never to be seen again. It turned out that both Mary Miles Minter and Mabel Normand had paid Taylor a visit the night of the crime. Mabel was the last person to see him alive. As a parting gift, the ever-thoughtful Taylor had given Mabel the latest volume of Freud. Ugh. Dude. I'm gonna find that book and I'm gonna read it about Freud. That's disgusting. Anyway, 10 minutes after the departure of Mabel's limousine, a neighbor, Mrs. Faith Cole McLean, heard a loud noise and went to the window overlooking Taylor's bungalow. Later, she told the police, in quotes, "I wasn't sure then that it was a shot at all, but I distinctly heard an explosion. Then I glanced out of my window and I saw a man leaving the house and going down the walk. I suppose it was a man. It was dressed like a man, but funny looking. It was dressed in a heavy coat with a muffler around the chin and a cap pulled down over the eyes. But it walked like a woman, quick little steps and broad hips and short legs." Wow, end quote. In parentheses, it says, "Could this have been Mary Miles Minter's jealous mother, Mrs. Shelby, in drag? She owned a .38 caliber pearl-handled revolver and had been seen practicing shooting it shortly before the murder. Afterwards, she was allowed to slip away to Europe without questioning." And that's close parentheses. It was an enigma that would even have baffled S.S. Van Dyne. The murder threw Hollywood into an uproar. The incident was particularly shattering to the film colony since Taylor, a social figure of prominence, had been president of the Screen Directors Guild, a handsome worldly fellow, bibliophile, and supposed bachelor with a reputation as a ladies' man. He was in reality William Dean Tanner, who had vanished from his New York home in 1908, leaving a wife and daughter. Good gosh. It soon came out that in his Hollywood incarnation, he had been carrying on simultaneous affairs with Mabel Normand, Mary Miles Minter, and Charlotte Shelby, Mary's mother. Oh my. This quote-unquote quadrangle held all the tabloids could desire in the way of sensation. The papers also insinuated that Taylor had been the cause of the suicide of Zelda Crosby, a famous player's screenwriter with whom he had been intimate. While ransacking Taylor's bungalow, the inspectors came upon a more esoteric aspect of the director's dalliances. In a locked closet of his bedroom was found a unique collection of Hollywood lingerie, lacy deluxe ladies' undies, each tagged with initials and a date. Oh my. In parentheses, it says, it seems that quote-unquote lucky dog Desmond made a point of retaining a souvenir of each sentimental encounter, close parentheses, when a pale pink nightgown of filmy silk, delicately embroidered MMM was found. Mary Miles Minter's sweet virginal image was ruined and her career smashed. All right, here it is. This is Taylor as director, a shattering incident. All right. Okay. This is just crazy. I don't know about y'all, but I'm just like, what? Anyway, so this picture says Mrs. Shelby and daughter Mary going to fat. I don't know what that means. Man. Open parentheses, it forced retirement, MMM, turned to the consolation of comfort eating and rapidly put on weight. Close parentheses, the drums of fate was her last picture. As if all this did not suffice, there was a quote-unquote dope angle to the case. Reporters stated that Taylor had recently been visiting the, in quotes, queer meeting places in LA and Hollywood, dens where strange, effeminate, EFFEMINATE men and peculiarly masculine women dressed in kimonos sat in circles where guests were served marijuana, opium, and morphine. The drugs wheeled in on tea carts, my lord. It was soon revealed that Taylor's good friend Mabel Normand, whose antic clowning for Senate, SENNETT, gained her fans by the millions, owed by effervescence, at least in part, to Cocaine & Co. Mabel's monthly expenditure for quote-unquote cokie was in the neighborhood of $2,000, blackmail included. Oh my. Here is her picture. I guess that's part of her last movie that she did. I'm not really sure. It says Mary Miles Minter, guilt by association. Okay, on one occasion, Taylor had confronted a blackmailer who was hounded Miss Normand, and in the ensuing sidewalk fisticuffs knocked him flat. When she became involved in the quote-unquote dope angle of the Taylor case, it was Normand's turn to retire from the screen. Susanna, the Senate feature she had just completed, was withdrawn after it had been boycotted. The epitaph to her career was an editorial on Good Housekeeping, suggesting Mabel was too quote-unquote adulterated for family consumption. The delightful comedian of so many Keystone comedies was no longer... I was looking at the spelling of comedian. C-O-M-E-D-I-E-E. C-O-M-E-D-I-E-N-N-E. I was wondering, is it pronounced any different, or was it shortened because it was so long or something? I don't know. For the way that we use it today is what I'm saying. So let me see. Okay, the delightful comedian of so many Keystone comedies was no longer an apple in the eye of her former fans. Though Mabel Normand and Mary Miles Minter stood out as the principal scapegoats in the Taylor case, All of Hollywood felt the heat. Howls went up around the country at this new proof of film land depravity. 1922 was a rough year for the movie industry. Stacks of uncomplimentary press notices continued to pour in. Denunciations rang out from the pulpits. It was not divine wrath the magnates feared, but retaliation at the box office. The specter of collective boycott by women's clubs, church organizations, and anti-vice committees seemed formidable. Anti-vice committees. Oh my goodness. Well, that's not new, is it? Anyway, with the professional Puritans clamoring for cleanup, something had to be done to improve the movie's image fast. Hayes fever. The quote-unquote improvement of the movie's image entailed a bit of window dressing borrowed from the world of baseball. The multi-million-dollar sports business had nearly been scuttled in 1919 when a World Series quote-unquote fix came to light. The baseball bosses found a $50,000 solution to their predicament by making Judge Kennesaw, Kenesaw, Mountain Landis, Landis. Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Their keep the game clean boys czar. Oh wow. The Hollywood bosses decided a familiar figurehead of moral rectitude was badly needed to umpire movie morals. They doubled the ante. The push $100,000 a year job of movie czar was offered to a prim-faced, bat-eared, mealy-mouthed political chiseler. Will H. Hayes, a member of President Harding's unfortunate cabinet, who as chairman of the Republican National Committee had tilted the nomination to Harding. In parentheses, in 1928 it came out that supposed Simon Pure Hayes had accepted a $75,000 quote-unquote gift and a $180,000 quote-unquote loan from oilman Harry, in quotes, Teapot Dome Sinclair, in gratitude for pushing easygoing Harding into the White House. What? The devious Hayes told a Senate committee 3 different stories about these bribes. Senator Borah, B-O-R-A-H, alleged that, in quotes, Hayes caused the Republican Party to sell itself to the willful despoilers of the nation, end quote. Hayes barely wriggled out of that one. In 1930, he was caught red-handed paying expense money. Yeah, I don't see the end of that parenthesis. I mean, it's just still open. That's weird. Anyway, he was caught red-handed paying expense money. H-O-N-A. No. H-O-N-O-R-A-R-I-A. Honoraria and salaries to quote-unquote moral leaders. Oh, here comes the end of the parentheses. Who were supposed to render impartial opinions on the purity of films for various religious and civic organizations. Shifty Hayes got away with it. Close parentheses. Well, here's a picture of Shifty Hayes, and I'm going to say stereotypically, he looks shifty. He looks like a rat or like a snake. You know what I mean? Like those kind of Weasley people that fit those stereotypes is what I'm saying. Man, that had to have been a hard life to lead, being like that, I'm going to tell you. As Harding's Postmaster General, Hayes opposed smut in the mails. Thus, this Hoosier Presbyterian elder, who was also a member of the Masons, Knights of Pythias, P-Y-T-H-I-A-S, Kiwanians, K-I-W-A-N-I-A-N-S, Rotarians, R-O-T-A-R-I-A-N-S, Moose and Elks, seemed just right to give the Purity League's satisfaction. Wow. He was a part of a lot of different clubs. I guess that's what you have to do to get, I don't know, ahead or something. I don't know. Harding accepted the resignation of his sly postal watchdog, and Hayes left for his office in New York, a city considered quote-unquote neutral territory, far from the flesh pots of Hollywood but close to the powerful film financiers. In March 1922, Hayes became czar of the movies, president of the hastily formed Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America, Inc., in the company of a rather uptight gathering of founding fathers Adolph Zucker, Marcus Loew, Loew, Carl Laemmle, Laemmle, William Fox, Samuel Goldwyn, Lewis and Myron Selznick. A press conference was called to let the world know what Hollywood's new look would be. In parentheses, Eleanor Glenn cynically predicted, in quotes, whatever will bring in the most money will happen, end quote, and close parentheses. Wow. The rookie policeman of movie morals, talk about greed. Like, that's just like an understatement. The rookie policeman of movie morals waded right in with a barrage of hogwash. End quote, the potentialities of motion pictures for moral influence and education are limitless. Therefore, its integrity should be protected. As we protect the integrity, it says Hayes signs up with founding fathers of filmland. Oops. They look like a bunch of good old boys, don't they? Good Lord, the stereotypical good old boys. Anyway. Jeepers. Okay, so therefore its integrity should be protected as we protect the integrity of our children in our schools and its quality developed as we develop the quality of our schools. Above all is our duty to youth. We must have toward the sacred thing, the mind of a child, toward that clean and virgin thing, that unmarked slate. We must have toward that the same responsibility, the same care about the impression made upon it, that the best teacher of the best clergyman, or the best clergyman, the most inspired teacher of youth would have, end quote. As Hayes intoned, the founding fathers of filmland broke out in poop-eating grins and heads-bobbed agreement for the cameras. Politics had taught Hayes all he needed to know about hypocrisy. Man, that's terrible. Okay, so this picture says, the motion picture industry presents Hollywood Cow in serial number 3. Oh, Hollywood Cow of crime, insanity, and booze coming. The Bible Belt looks at Hollywood. Yeah, I mean, that's accurate, ain't it? There we go. Okay. The Hayes office issued its first diktat, D-I-K-T-A-T. Films were to be purified. Screen immorality would be scissored. No more improprieties. No more lingering, lusty kisses. No more carnality. The acts for off-screen cut-ups. The picture people were about to observe a perpetual Lent. Morals clauses would be inserted into all contracts to persuade the golden people to shape up. Male stars would henceforth be monks, and women stars nuns. Capers would be punished by the boot. And it says, the New Yorker looks at Hayes. Here's a caricature somebody did of him. It's not flattering. Hayes fever swept the front offices. The moguls had no illusions that the morals clause would get the colony to mend its ways. They launched an undercover investigation of everybody in sight and turned loose a frantic, competing horde of private eyes on Hollywood. Detectives used the whole bag of dirty tricks, from bribing servants to peering in windows, even primitive quote-unquote listening devices. When the reports came in, the front offices died a little. It was much, much worse than they had suspected. With the approval of Czar Hayes, a doom book was compiled with a total of 117 Hollywood names deemed quote-unquote unsafe because of their no longer private lives. No more carnality. Well, that's with the question mark, but here's a picture that corresponds with that. And I'm wondering, do they actually do good with those 117 Hollywood names that they deemed unsafe, or do they keep it as a blackmail log? You know? Good time, Wally. Oh, I gotta end it there. Don't go Hank again, we need a till we meet again. Love you, mean it.